So recently, I've been doing a lot of reading of different positions that I don't agree with. I know that's a rare thing in today's world to go seeking out information and people that don't agree with you. And one of the topics that's fascinated me for a while now, because a very, very good friend of mine, a person that I just genuinely love, I love this guy to death. We served in the army together. Um, Gosh, he's like one of my favorite people. And I know that's so weird to say because he's about as opposite of me politically as you can possibly get. I've been researching this idea of no borders or a world without borders or one people, one world, however you want to phrase it. And there's a lot of different phraseology out there for it. And I'm telling you, it's a pretty deep rabbit hole, and it's something that I'm not uh, completely sure I have gotten to the bottom of, but I think I have gotten far enough down this rabbit hole that I can kind of give you a Cliff Notes version of what it's about and tell you why I disagree with it. Which ultimately, I'm sure you saw coming. I'm sure nobody here is going to be surprised that I disagree with the idea of one people, one world, delete all borders, no more nations. But more importantly than that, I believe it, is why I believe it. And I hope that you will watch to the end of the video so you can understand that. Let's start with the idea that my friend and people like him present as their utopian ideal. They're looking at to be the most charitable that I can, they're looking at the Star Trek future. So if you've ever watched Star Trek by Gene Roddenberry, the entire idea behind Star Trek that he created was, what about a world where people were no longer bound by greed and nationalism and patriotism and all of these other things? What if people were freed of these things and they only had to worry about being decent people to themselves and others? It's beautiful in theory. It really is, just like communism. In theory, oh my goodness, this is the most beautiful idea. And Roddenberry, to his credit, did an excellent job of presenting it in Star Trek. I was a huge Star Trek fan, both the original series, the Next Generation. I admit, I'm a Deep Space Nine fanatic. That is still my favorite of all the Star Treks, even though I'm going to get a little bit of hate for that. But hey, you know what? It is what it is. The problem is, as with any utopian ideal, when you start actually applying it to the real world and people get involved, it begins to fall apart. Because all of these utopian ideals are based upon perfection. And humanity is many things. Perfect is not one of them. So, the idea is that all of humanity will come together. We'll kind of create this one world government and kind of a almost a one world culture, and we'll all live together in harmony. Except here's the problem. Well, one of the problems, I should say. Whose culture? Now, obviously, when you get talking to a globalist, what they mean is a one world culture that's their culture. It's that Western, progressive, limousine liberal, champagne socialist style, no morality, everybody gets to live however they want, asexual, blah, 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 no God, no religion, no this, no that, this purely secular, morally ambiguous, almost like if you watch the Hunger Games, it's like the Capitol from the Hunger Games. Go back and rewatch that movie and pay attention to the Capitol. Minus all the we're going to kill everybody in the districts. But just look at the overall social structure of the Capitol. That is the future these people see. Is that the future you want to live in? It is most definitely not the future I want to live in. And I would say that most of the world doesn't want to live in that. So what happens? How do you then achieve that one world, no borders thing? Well, you obviously have to push, press, cajole, maybe strong arm people into that worldview and that idea. You see, the bloodshed that would be required to get us there would fill the oceans. you just it'd be voluminous on a level that it would be pretty hard to communicate to you in order to try to get us there. But let's put that aside for a second. Let's actually take that and set that aside. What is the actual problem with that idea? Well, the actual problem is that you can't get more than 10 people in the same room and have them agree on the right way to make a ham sandwich. And if you think I'm kidding, put 10 people in the same room. Do you put the mayonnaise on? How about mustard? Oh, wait a minute now. What kind of cheese are we using? Is that ham low fat? Do we cut the crust off the sandwich? Do we cut the sandwich in half, or do we cut it down the side and make it into triangles? Guys, I'm telling you, people can't agree on anything. And you're telling me that we're going to get people to agree on this Western lifestyle of no borders, everybody's lifestyle is great, everybody's lifestyle is wonderful, and everybody's going to agree to that. No, I'm sorry, it's never going to happen. And that comes down, now we're coming back to the reality of borders. Borders exist to protect peoples, cultures, and languages. Maybe some more things, but ultimately, that's the idea behind a border. The border says, this is our space where our culture, the way that we live life is protected. You are on your side, you live how you want, we are on our side, we live how we want. I grew up, and still am, a Christian, but I grew up in a different denomination than the one that I'm in now. And I used to rail against and just rally against denominational lines. I used to say denominations are horrible. We don't need these. Why in the world do we have these? It wasn't until I got older that I realized why these denominations exist. It's because people don't all worship the same way. Even though we're all Christians, we don't worship the same way. Some people have an easier time connecting with God in a church where they're singing all the old hymns. Others connect better with God in a place where they're singing more contemporary praise and worship songs. Some like long-winded sermons. Some like short-winded sermons. Some like academic presentations with high word counts and big, long, college words. Others like it in layman's terms. Make it simple for me and deliver it to my doorstep. And the beauty of denominations is that everybody gets to live how they want. Everybody gets to go to church how they want. Well, it's the same thing with borders. And it's the argument for federalism. It's why the states are supposed to be able to be what they want, and the federal government is not supposed to homogenize culture and law across the entire country so that you can move to a place that agrees with you. If you like the laws in California, you want to live more liberal, you move to California. If you like the laws in Texas or Florida because you want to be more conservative, you should be able to move to Texas or Florida. It's the same argument, just on a global scale. You don't like the way America works? You don't like the way America runs? You think you need more socialism? Move yourself to Italy. Move yourself to Europe. Broadly, France, Germany, England, take your pick. You can move to any one of them that you want. You want to live in a Muslim Sharia law paradise? By all means. File your paperwork, apply for an immigrant visa, and take yourself over to UAE or Saudi Arabia or Iraq or Iran. Hey man, take your life into your hands if you want. Maybe you want to go the other direction. Maybe you want to go to Jakarta. Maybe you want to go to Pakistan. There's plenty of choices for you. The point is, maybe you want to go to Japan. You like the idea of an honor-based culture, where it's honor and shame, and you like their social consciousness. Who knows? But the idea is, you can find a place that agrees with who you are and how you think, and then you can move there. Now, the argument against that is obvious. Well, people don't have the money to move. People can't this, people can't that. That has got to be the most incredible argument to me. Because for millennia, people have moved. In fact, for millennia, people have moved out of cities. How arrogant have we become that you just look at New York City, okay? rent control and all these things that you have going on in New York City, Zoran Mandami and everything he's got going on over there is all based on the fact that you ought to be able to live in New York City. Not that you've earned it, not that you can afford it, but I want to live there, or I was born here, so I should be able to live here. That's not true. That's not true. That hasn't been true throughout all of human history. If you can't afford to live where you're living, you move somewhere else where you can. I mean, this is, we become so spoiled that the idea of moving myself somewhere where I can sustain myself, where I can find a job, the cost of living's right, and I can take care of what I need to do, even if it's a small town or a this or a that, yeah, that's suddenly beneath me. It's all based on this reality. I should be able to live wherever I want. It's a me, I kind of generational thing. And that's really the genesis of this no borders movement, is people should be able to live wherever they want. Well, no, they shouldn't. The people who live there have a right to protect their culture, their language, their worldview, how they do things. Okay? That's not inherently wrong to be able to do that. You know, you see Mexico's got a massive southern border. The most secure border in the world is actually between Egypt and Palestine. Go figure that one out, you know. But all these countries have borders. Once you get between Europe and the non-EU countries, you used to have pretty secure borders. Now you don't. But that's a whole different story, and I'll let the Europeans, conservatives, argue that one. I'm not gonna touch that one in this video. Maybe I'll do one later, but not now. But here's the thing. Borders are not bad. Now, the bigger problem with borders is it highlights a reality that the left doesn't like. And that is, not all cultures are the same. Not all cultures are inherently good. See, the left has created this mythos that all cultures are equal. All cultures are good. All cultures are to be celebrated and praised. And I guess, I mean, if that's your kind of leftist take on it, but it's not really real, because as soon as you actually begin looking at the results that those cultures have brought about, gosh, why are they all coming here? You know, if you sent back a lot of these immigrants, and not just from America, I'm talking about globally, if you sent back a lot of these illegal immigrants to their countries, maybe they would finally change the culture where they are and make a difference. I mean, ultimately, it's your country, your culture, and you should be able to fix it. That's what we did. That's what so many of these other countries did. The history of England, go look it up sometime. Wow. War after war after war after war after war trying to get it right. That's messy. That's life. But we're on this side of it, and now we're supposed to give up our culture, language, land, and everything else to accommodate people who don't want to do the same thing in their country and in their culture. No. But beyond that, when we start homogenizing into this globalist, melty, gooey, balkanized weirdness, it's not really a true balkanization, because we haven't said, like, that's the Italian neighborhood and that's the black neighborhood and that's the white neighborhood. But in practice, that's exactly how it ends up, even though we haven't done it that way. So it's this really weird reality that the left is trying to create, and they bring people in, and they don't require them to learn English, and they don't require them to understand America, and they don't want to require them to adopt our culture, our ways, our holidays, our this, our that, anything that kind of holds us together in that American fabric, they don't think they should have to participate in that because they don't come from our country. In other words, they're not from our culture. Well, there you go. That's exactly what a border is supposed to protect. Our culture. And when that starts getting run over, people get angry, which is what you're seeing. You see, borders are not bad things. Borders are not inherently evil. You should be able, if you like that kind of Mexican way of life, that style of music, the food, the this, the that, hey, there's a country right there where that is absolutely the way that they live on a day-to-day basis. Go ahead. If that's what you want to do, that's how you want to be, that's where you want to live, go live there. That's not a negative statement. That's not me being rude or telling you to get out of my country. That's me saying, hey, if that's what you love, if that's what you want, it's there. It's already available. Go. Be happy. Be happy. If that's what's going to make you happy, go be happy. Leave me here. I'm happy here. I like America. I like Americana. I like the red, white, and blue, obviously. I mean, if you guys didn't get that, I don't know what to tell you. There is nothing wrong with a country being a country and having a culture and saying, if you're going to come here, you need to adopt our ways, our culture, our lifestyle. In America, which is not a theocracy, that includes religious freedom. That's part of Americana. So if you're a Muslim or you're a this or you're a that, by all means, come, bring it. As long as you're willing to let everybody else have their religious freedom, you can come on in here and practice yours. As long as you're not breaking any laws with it. Now that's a different story. You start enforcing honor killings and, weird, things in the park, on nature worship and this and that. And no. You don't get to break the law. But you can do whatever you want in your own house. See, here's the thing. Just because we say Americana, that doesn't mean a Christian theocracy. And I think the left has purposely twisted that. And that's purposeful. They do that. They conflate the two. And they try to make it Christian nationalism. Let me tell you something. You can be for nationalism and a Christian and still not want there to be a Christian theocracy. And remember, there's a huge difference between a nation that allows Christian symbols to be part of the national fabric and a theocracy. And the left wants to convince you that if there's even one Christian symbol at a state thing, it's a theocracy. No, but again, that's another video. So we'll get to that eventually. No, you can have a Christian symbol displayed and it's not a theocracy. I don't know what to tell you there. If you can't do that math, that's not on me. But the point is, when somebody comes to you and says to you, borders are racist, borders are evil, borders devalue and undignify people, that is completely, wholly, and totally untrue. And you can call them on it. You can straight up call them on it. You can say borders are none of those things. Borders simply denote different places with different cultures, and it allows you to find a place and a culture that agrees with you, and then you can move there. Just like a state. Or how the states were supposed to be. We can talk for hours about the loss of federalism and what that's done to us as a country. So I just want you to remember that. Borders are not bad. Borders are not evil. And the globalist utopia that they keep trying to spin at you, number one, the cost of blood it's going to take to get there is not worth the eventuality of it. Number two, it's not feasible. It's never going to happen because you're never going to get the entire global society to agree on one homogeneous culture. And three, take a look, rewatch the Hunger Games, look at the Capitol, and ask yourself, is that really how you want to end up? Because I guarantee you most of the world doesn't. And the closer we push and get towards that, the more people are going to push back on and reject this globalist thing. And that's what the left doesn't understand. How did we end up with Trump? How did we end up where we are? They kept pushing towards that reality. And they can't seem to understand that the closer they get to what they want, the more people walk away from them. And that's always going to be true. The closer they get to that Hunger Games Capitol style society that they all seem to want, the more and more people are going to reject them, are going to walk away from them, and are going to say, I'm done with this. They're never going to get what they want. The Gene Roddenberry Star Trek reality is a myth. It's always going to be a myth. We may come up with a, 4 or 5 state solution for a global government somewhere way down the road, similar to like districts where people vote. And I mean, we can get into some real fun political theory about how something like that might work. Is it the Starship Troopers model? Is it the Star Trek model? Is it, one of these Confederation models? Who knows? I love that deep dive political theory stuff. But in the end, the idea that there's going to be one homogenous global government, no borders, people can pack up in a car and drive wherever they want and just buy a house and move in and live there, it's never going to happen. That's just not feasible. It's not realistic. Anyway, guys, I've enjoyed spending time with you. I hope you learned something that is going to help you in your conversations. Because, again, that's kind of what I do here. I try to give you things that will help you in your conversation so that you can kind of push back on this reality that the left keeps trying to throw at us. You have a wonderful day, and God bless.